The world is reopened, and that's a great opportunity for Nomad Capitalists. With as few as only 36 countries now closed to tourists, I'm going to tell you where you can go and what you need to get in. I've been traveling for much of the last 2 years. I spent the beginning of the pandemic in Malaysia, things opened up, started traveling domestically, and then eventually traveled internationally. I've been doing so ever since. Never got COVID, racked up lots of airline miles, found lots of opportunities, hosted numerous clients around the world, hosted Nomad Capitalist Live. But now, for everyone who has been saying, the world is not accessible, I need to stay home, I can't start my Nomad Capitalist journey now, you've got as few as 38 countries that are close to you. If it's your first time here, my name is Andrew Henderson, the founder of Nomad Capitalist. We are a boutique consultancy that helps 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally reduce their taxes, diversify and protect their wealth, and increase their freedom and options with second passports. I'm also the host of the aforementioned biggest and best offshore conference called Nomad Capitalist Live, open to everyone. And there are two types of people, as we very well know, the fully vaccinated and the non-fully vaccinated. Let's look at this map right here. If you are vaccinated, and I just pulled this up, this is from Kayak, and we just plugged in one of my colleagues from Georgia just to have a neutral passport. This does not affect visa status, so if you need a visa, you need a visa. But look at this map here. You've basically got the entire Americas wide open. The United States is the one country that if you're vaccinated still wants a COVID test. It seems like everybody else from Canada to Mexico, which has been fully wide open for a long time. The host of Nomad Capitalist Live 2022 has been back since the time when there were 4 countries in the world that were open. Mexico is now open, no forms, no tests, nothing, just show up. Central America, with the exception of Nicaragua, they want a test. Everyone else doesn't. You've got the Caribbean wide open. You've got South America, Colombia back open. Unless you're going to Venezuela, you are going to be in good shape. Every single country in Europe, with the exception of Russia, and that was for multiple nationalities. Russia is closed, test or not. Those countries are open. Many of those countries have been open, no test. Doesn't matter what you have, just show up. Central Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, open with the exception of Brunei. What's closed? Russia, China, Taiwan, North Korea, hate to sully your plans, Yemen, Lesotho, and a few countries in Africa, and then I believe French Guyana. So if you are vaccinated, the world is pretty much your oyster. You need to test in a few places. Again, US, Nicaragua, Iran, that's a popular one, Myanmar, Japan, not surprised about that, but very few tests even needed anymore. So you've got 137 open countries, 52 that are test and travel, 4 that are test and quarantine, so you'd probably want to avoid those, and then 34 which are just closed. By the way, what are those? New Zealand, we're talking about how New Zealanders are fleeing Jacinda's reign. Now, what if you are not fully vaccinated? The world has still been largely open up. Canada and the US remain closed. Brazil, interestingly, which was one of the ones that was more open during 2020, remains closed. Uruguay was there. I can tell you they are indeed closed. But you have Chile, Argentina, some of the laggards back open. The rest of South America open with a test. Colombia open with a test. Central America, you've got Costa Rica back open. They've been open throughout much of this. The Middle East is back open. Just went through Dubai. Very easy to get through. UK and Ireland, fully back open. Most of Northern Europe, except for Finland. Germany's tough, France is tough, but you want to go to Spain, you want to go to Portugal, and then Central and Eastern Europe, basically wide open, whether it's Serbia, whether it's Montenegro, was in both of those recently. Those countries are all wide open. And then you have, countries in Southeast Asia where there is a quarantine, potentially a home quarantine. You need to do a test, so that's probably not as appealing to people. Of course, Australia, New Zealand, China, all those remain closed. So what you have now is a situation where it is, for the first time in a while, easy to travel. Now again, I've been telling people it is possible to travel. You go and get a test, sure. In some cases, it was a little bit annoying. You had to remember there was one time I was flying somewhere and I thought you didn't need a test, and then you needed a test, and we had to scramble, and we just made it. But now, travel is going to go back to being pretty straightforward. There certainly are some countries like South Korea that have adjusted their visa-free policies to limit certain countries' passports coming in. This was kind of one perhaps fun example we shared about during the peak of the pandemic, all five Caribbean citizenship by investment countries could go visa-free to South Korea. Only one could actually get in, that was Dominica, because they were the only ones on the nice list. Everyone else was on the naughty list. And so The power of a passport for visa-free travel has somewhat changed, even though that's not really the only reason you should have second and additional passports. And by the way, we've been helping a number of people, more than ever, get citizenship by investment without leaving their own country through programs like the Caribbean, even countries like Turkey, citizenship by descent we've been doing, the occasional citizenship by marriage. We've gotten that process underway for folks. So you can get citizenships, or at least get the ball rolling on them, whether it's in a matter of 6 months or whether it takes a couple of years. You can do that without leaving your country by using the embassy or simply by using these investment-based processes. But if you want to go out and explore places to potentially invest, places to move your business, places to hire employees, places to relocate, now there are no more excuses. One of the things that we've been helping people do over the last couple of years is making lists of, hey, here are 6 places that match all your criteria. High levels of personal freedom, low levels of tax, low cost of living, warm weather. Here are the 6 countries that we believe would work for you and that offer residence permits or citizenship, and where you can have some kind of decent banking infrastructure if that's what you want. And when the world reopens, go out and check those 6 out and then come back to us and we will add to your existing plan of citizenships and banks and what have you. And we'll add, wherever you decide that you want to live. Now you have the opportunity to check these places out. What I would always remind people is you get strategic residences, citizenships, bank accounts, investments for those sake only. If you're getting a second passport to protect yourself against an increasingly authoritarian country, you don't necessarily have to love the new country. We can look at the statistics. I mean, obviously, you're not going to go to an equally authoritarian country and get a passport, which is why, someone wants to escape Canada and they want to go and get a passport from France from their wife. Is that really diversification? Perhaps not. I would take it, but I wouldn't call it the full level of diversification. So if you are just trying to set up diversification, backup plans, you don't necessarily have to love the country. The same reason that the last time you went on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, you didn't fall in love with Liberia, where the ship was perhaps registered. They registered there for convenience purposes, or Panama, for example. They did not register it because they thought you wanted to go there. It was just the most effective place. And you can follow that strategy by having a second citizenship, having a residence, having a bank account at whatever level that you feel comfortable. Just for strategic purposes. This helps me avoid this problem. This helps me reduce this regulation. This helps me avoid this risk, whatever. But if you want to actually diversify and find a place to live by reducing your taxes, moving overseas, moving your family, getting away from an increasingly toxic culture. We've heard that a lot over the last couple of years. It's been getting worse. Talked to a friend of mine of 15 years the other day. He said, since you left, it's only gotten worse. And he was always a pretty calm guy. He said, oh, it's getting much worse. And so now you have the opportunity to go out and see it for yourself. I have told you for years about the concept of hard freedom versus soft freedom. The U.S. has the Constitution, and that's cool. Other countries just have, it's not in our bones, it's not in our DNA to screw with people. We just like to leave people alone. We're just nice people. We don't like to intrude on other people. It's not our business. We don't care, whatever the case may be. You can go out and you can experience. We just hosted a number of our clients who are implementing their plans at a beautiful dinner in Belgrade, Serbia. And they came and said, oh, wow, this is a lot more beautiful than I thought. Somebody said, wow, this is a much more interesting city than Budapest, which gets all the attention. People said, oh my goodness, everyone leaves you alone. The police don't bother you. They're just kind of standing around having a nice time. Immigration was so pleasant. Everything's such a delight. That is what soft freedom is about. And you won't realize that until you get out. So if you've been sitting in a country, having them take away more and more of your freedoms, maybe this is an opportunity. And now it is an opportunity for unvaccinated as well to get out there and get into these countries with as little as nothing, in many cases, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Mongolia, probably not high on your list, but again, a number of countries in Central and Eastern Europe, even the UK and Ireland, fully reopened for everybody. And if you are vaccinated, the whole world practically now is open. Forget New Zealand and forget a few other places, but the whole world is reopening. Now you can go and see what I've been talking about. You can see the lifestyle that I've been living, moving between my different homes over the last number of years, including the last 2 years. You can see some of the places where we've hired people. You can see some of the places where we've bought real estate that's done incredibly well. Property in Georgia, for example, incredibly well. And so now is the opportunity to go out and explore as this world reopens. For many of you, well over 100 and some countries that are available, just show up.